May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Mr. Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Aditya, I think you can notice that you're sitting at quite a distance from us.
Yes,
It's
sir.
around 12 feet from anybody in this room. Idea is that you should feel safe and you should feel comfortable. At the same time, idea is to give you an opportunity to remove your mask safely so that you can have a free and relaxed conversation. Would you like to?
Sir, with your permission, I want to continue with mask, as in a main interview also we need to wear mask.
Right. You can, if you feel like, you just remove it once so that I can verify you, and then
Yes,
we can move further. You're basically Aditya, and you are from Muzaffarnagar, Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
Right? Comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Can we start?
Yes, sir.
Right. So Aditya, tell us something about you.
Sir, my name is Aditya. I was born in Titavi, a village in Muzaffarnagar, and I did my bachelor's with information technology. Later, I worked with IBM for 1.5 years as security delivery specialist, and currently I am serving as trainee deputy collector in Oriya district of Uttar Pradesh since 15th April 2021. And during my 4 months tenure, I have served as nodal officer for integrated command and control center for COVID, and also served as member of inquiry committee for different purposes.
So you're basically public service, already in provincial services. You are with the
Yes, sir.
PCS, right? And currently in Oraya.
Yes, sir, Oriya district.
Fine. So, Aditya, you are from Uttar Pradesh. You're getting an opportunity to become a SDM and other administrative positions in future in Uttar Pradesh. So, you're not happy with that? Why are you considering a change? Just because become an IAS, or you're open for other services also?
Sir, I am happy with my present job in terms of its nature, and I am trying for central services and all India services. Sir, as I started my journey to get into all India services to serve under government of India in different parts of country. And secondly, sir, by entering into all India services as well as central services, I will get an opportunity in future, even in policy making. And sir, it is also a swifter career progression when it comparison to state service also, that I am also getting promotion in future to get into IAS.
True. And you said you're happy with your current service. What are your takeaways from current service right now? What are, for example, in personality, do you believe that whatever time you have served in as in administrative service in UP, has it changed you a bit, or you are what you were?
So in terms of learning and experience, I think it has added to my personality, as I am realized the nature of services, challenges and opportunities we have to serve at the ground level, and that is definitely added to my personality.
Okay, and you have taken geography as your optional paper, despite the fact that you actually did your graduation in IT, right?
Yes, sir.
So why no science subject like physics, chemistry, mathematics interest you, and why you went to geography?
Sir, as I had to choose a new optional subject, so I went through basic books for GS papers, and I found geography more interesting since my school times. And so secondly, geography also help us in covering syllabus for preliminary examination as well as so for general studies mains examination. So by considering all those things and my interest, I have opted for geography, sir.
Aditya, since you're an administrative officer in UP, if you look at the society of UP, it appears that UP by and large still lagging in most parameters when it comes to human development, right? And it is particularly so surprisingly even in Western UP, where the economic development, you're coming from Western UP, and economic development in Western UP is not bad. It's because of the Green Revolution and other things, there is considerable economic development, but it has not led to social development. Why such a dichotomy is visible?
Sir, situation has been changed and is changing in Uttar Pradesh when it comes to on different social indicators, though it is still far away from the potential or ideal state of Uttar Pradesh. Secondly, Uttar Pradesh has experienced economic growth because economic growth is easy to penetrate at the ground level, while for social growth and growth on social parameters takes some times to percolate at the ground level because of some past practices or traditions. So for example, if we talk about Western Uttar Pradesh, then green revolution has helped farmers to go for commercial cultivations like for sugarcane, wheat, and it improved their economic situation. While on social parameters, there are still issues like low sex ratio, education, participation of women in workforce is still low. So that requires behavioral change, and that's why we are focusing on those parameters. So for example, Muzaffarnagar is also a part of one of the 21 districts of Uttar Pradesh under Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Andolan. So things are changing, and sir, it is evident from parameters like in recently launched performance grading index by Ministry of Human Resources and Development. Uttar Pradesh has performed on most of the parameters like infrastructure and learning outcomes. Even on SDG index released by Niti Aayog, Uttar Pradesh score has increased from 42 in 2018 to 60 in 2020.
Got you. Fine, Aditya. Thank you. Sir. Aditya, what is the Schedule 1 of the Constitution of India?
So Schedule 1 of Indian Constitution deals about unions and its territories, and it defines about that, sir.
So what are the details?
Sir, like in Article 1, India is
we focus on Schedule 1 only. If we peep inside Schedule 1, what did you see there?
So it talks about Union of India and its territories and their boundaries also. So basically, Schedule 1 talks about this.
Is there any list given in Schedule 1?
Sorry, sir, I am not aware, sir.
Have you seen Schedule 1 opened ever?
No, sir.
You have not opened Schedule 1. Okay. What's the difference between equity and equality?
Sir, equality, when we provide opportunity to all. Equity, when we tries to work from beneficiary aspect also to access that equality and to utilize that for promoting an egalitarian society. So for example, for a particular scheme, we promote equality by declaring eligibility criteria. But some people may find it difficult because of some challenges. So for that, we provide extra efforts or extra support system for them.
So
for example, even in our constitutions, we
have... how this example would clarify the difference between equity and equality?
So for example, we have equality under our constitutions, right to equality under Article 14. However, certain sections requires extra support systems, and we provide them support system through reservation and also address issues like untouchability so that they can come on the same platform and utilize this right to equality.
And what's the difference between vertical equality and horizontal equality?
So horizontal equality among the people situated on the same level. For example, at people of the same caste and people, for example, so if we compare state and center, then in vertical equality, we have different platforms at center, state and local level. And when it comes to horizontal equality, then it is on the same platforms, for example, through panchayats at gram village level.
Do you think political parties are offering equality to women candidates in India? Are they offering equal treatment?
Sir, we tried to promote that through 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, but it is still...
No, whether the political parties are offering equal treatment.
Sir, I think they are not offering, and on that front, we need to work, as it is evident from participation.
How do you explain their behavior? They take oath in the name of Constitution, and they don't adhere to the principles contained in the Constitution while managing their political party affairs. How do you reflect upon this fact, this reality?
Sir, it is reality that women are not getting representation, and it is evident from representation of women in parliament also. And if we talk from political parties' perspective, then they are going for candidates which can spend more resources during elections and also having high chances of winning, and they are neglecting diversity and inclusivity at ground level. And it is one of the reasons that we are getting low number of women participants at ground level. And so I think on that front, we need to work both from legislative aspects as well as also for raising awareness through giving representation in parliament, and also promoting our girls' child in school and colleges to participate in different events, to speak on forum, so that their participation can be increased.
Okay, Aditya, the Constitution was amended to introduce a State Finance Commission. How their function is different from the Union Finance Commission?
Sir, it is different in terms of their objectives. That is, Central Finance Commission is responsible for deciding devolution of taxes between center and states, and also recommend for devolution of taxes to local bodies, while State Finance Commission looks only from states finance perspective and for empowering local bodies. So in terms of ambit and resources they have at their disposal, both have differences, sir.
So let's say Union Finance Commission make a recommendation about devolution of fund to local bodies, and State Finance Commission is also making recommendation for devolution of fund to the local bodies. So how these two recommendations are different with respect to local bodies?
Sir, Central Finance Commission makes recommendations, while State Finance Commission is the main body responsible for devolution of funds to local bodies.
Okay, Aditya, thank you.
Hello, Aditya.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Aditya. On the eve of Independence Day, PM has announced the development path for the country for the next 5 years, and he announced that very soon the 100 lakh crore of infrastructure development project will be announced in the name of Gati Shakti. Earlier we have the national infrastructure pipeline. Then what is the use of this Gati Shakti project, and how will it be differ from the national infrastructure pipeline?
Sir, National Infrastructure Pipeline was announced to cater our infrastructure demands for improving quality of life of our citizens, and it basically talks about different projects in different sectors, like railways, roadways, building urban infrastructure, apart from mobility. While Honorable Prime Minister on the eve of Independence Day announced Gati Shakti, which especially talks about this logistic aspect, mobility, that is railways, roadways. And it is different that we specifically highlighted
Aditya,
this.
coming to the point logistic, we have
sir.
given the logistic as the infrastructure status. What changes it brings in the logistics sector if it has been given the infrastructure status?
So by giving infrastructure
Since we
status,
have the cost of production, cost of transportation is very high. It is around 15% of GDP,
yes, sir.
which is very high as compared to the developed countries.
Yes, sir.
So
By giving infrastructure status, logistics sector gets easy accessibility to funds at more effective rates. And secondly, sir, currently
more effective rate or lower rate?
So lower rate
Okay.
means from their perspective, at a more optimal rate, they get easy access to funds at lower interest rates.
Okay, Aditya, why are you pushing more infrastructure? We all know the infrastructure has a very high gestation period. It also requires it is also has a very high sunken cost. So this time we need to boost the demand. So why we focusing more on infrastructure development or infrastructure sector?
So it is because of multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Firstly, it caters our demand side issue also, that by developing infrastructure, firstly we are catering to the demands of the public by building infrastructure deficit. Secondly, it also provides employment opportunity to the people. And so thirdly, infrastructure provides a momentum to our economy by, so for example, by having roads and railways, we can reduce this logistic cost that makes our products more competitive. And by price competitiveness, we can promote our export as well as facilitate development of secondary sector. So it is catering to the needs of different sectors, different sections. That's why we are focusing on infrastructure.
Okay, Aditya, to reduce the price of the petrol and diesel, government is now blending the petrol with the ethanol.
Yes, sir.
And as you are geography student, you know very well that the main source of ethanol is sugarcane.
Yes, sir.
And you also know that the sugarcane needs more water,
Yes, sir.
which will cause the depletion of underground water. So on one hand, we are taking the policy of blending the petrol with ethanol to decrease the price of petrol. On the other hand, if we will produce more sugarcane, it will again deplete the underground water, which I think Niti Aayog in its reports also stated that it will be bad for the underground water if we will grow more sugarcane like crops. So how this problem will be tackled now?
So it is true that sugarcane is a water intensive crop, and by promoting ethanol blending, we are trying to achieve different objectives. Firstly, by going for our target of 20% blending by 2025, we are trying to reduce our import dependency. Secondly, we are also reducing our emissions, because ethanol blending reduces emission from the burning of these fuels. And thirdly, sir, we are not going for increasing sugarcane cultivation. we are already producing surplus sugar in our country that is impacting health of sugar mills, leading to delay in payment to farmers. So that extra surplus sugar cane can be diverted for producing ethanol. So that will help in shortening problems of sugar mills in payment and also for farmers to get payments on time. And sir, fourthly, apart from these promotion of ethanol, we are also planning to diversify our agriculture through different schemes so that this cultivation of sugarcane can be reduced and we promote sustainable agriculture.
Okay, Aditya, my last question is with you since you are geography student. Also, it is believed that the good monsoon brings the prosperity in agriculture. If I say that the good monsoon have the adverse effect on the Indian farmers, how will you justify my question, this statement?
Sir, it is justified in the sense that good monsoon also brings weather extremities, and with climate change, it is increasing day by day. And secondly, from production side also, that good monsoon leads to more production, and that without having any assurance of remunerative prices also leads to distress sale, which I have seen in past. So from
very
that
good,
perspective.
Aditya. Thank you, sir.
Aditya,
Yes,
you
sir.
are from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
And Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh is Mr. Yogi Adityanath.
Yes, sir.
Adityanath, basically.
Yes, sir.
Do you find any similarity and dissimilarity with Adityanath ji, with you?
So similarity, sir, in the sense that Mr. Yogi Adityanath is catering to the needs of the people by serving in the role of Chief Minister. And sir, as a Deputy Collector, I am also serving to the people.
Okay.
Secondly, sir, he is also accountable to the public, to the constitution, to the law of the land. I am also accountable to the constitution of the land, to the law of the land, and also to the people. And sir, when it comes to differences, then in terms of experiences, in terms of position, sir, there are differences.
Suppose you have been made Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Which two works of Mr. Yogi Adityanath you would like to change?
Sir, currently I am not aware about the complete roles and responsibility of a Chief Minister. With my limited knowledge, sir, as far as all actions taken by the Honorable Chief Ministers are for the welfare of the people of the
Means
state.
the work of Mr. Yogi Adityanath by which you are not satisfied. Means there is a need of modification, alteration or change, whatever. If you think so, and if you are fully satisfied with the work of our current government, then question will be invalid.
Yes, sir, I would like to take up those initiatives to one more extra level. So, for example, currently there are various schemes like One District, One Product schemes for reviving local industries, for promoting economic opportunities and ground level. So, I would like to add this information technology. So, for example, in Muzaffarnagar, farmers produce jaggery. So under One District, One Product scheme, these jaggery production has been improved. So sir, by make use of information technology, we can create platforms for farmers to sell their products directly online. We can also add some quality infrastructure. So similar way, sir, I would like to make use of IT in this existing program.
Okay. Reflective diary writing is your hobby.
Yes, sir.
What does reflective writing means in general? What do you understand by reflective writing? Not diary writing only.
So reflective is the reflection of thoughts, actions. So for me, it is a reflection of actions which I have done in the day and how could I have improved on them. So I am writing diary, sir, to have a reflection on those actions.
Okay, you are basically engineer.
Yes, sir.
Why most of the engineers in India are unemployed, or you can say underemployed? Why? What are the basic causes behind that?
So there are multiple reasons. Firstly, if we look at our educational curriculum in graduation courses, then they are not catering to the needs of the industry. For example, industry is looking for...
Okay, one is...
Yes, sir. And so secondly, second issue with respect to practical training in terms of internship. On that front also we are lacking.
Okay.
Thirdly, the infrastructure in our colleges. If we look at tier 2, tier 3 cities, then they are lacking in basic labs. So students are not getting that kind of practical experience. And so fourthly, one issue is also after schools, very few students aware about career prospect. They just follow what others are following without having any counseling system. Sometimes they enter into streams which they later find that they are not for that stream. So that makes it difficult for them to continue in that sector.
Okay. Thank you, Adit. Thank you, ma'am.
Aditya,
Yes, ma'am.
You're from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know about the new population policy of Uttar Pradesh?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me how does it affect the women in Uttar Pradesh? What are good things about it that help women, and what are bad things about it for women?
Ma'am, new population policies tries to improve health as well as career prospects for women. Ma'am, for example, ma'am, it tends to raise awareness about family planning programs. It tries to improve accessibility to contraceptive devices, and thirdly, it tries to cater or address the core issues in Uttar Pradesh with respect to women health, like high maternal mortality rate, which is second highest in India, and also high infant mortality rate.
Okay, let's talk about negatives.
Ma'am, negatives in terms, there are concerns that Uttar Pradesh already has a low sex ratio. So along with population policy, we need to sensitize people that in some cases it may lead to child infanticide because of already poor sex ratio. So along with national population
And feticide as well.
yes ma'am, and feticide. So on that front also we need to work to achieve.
What
our
is your
objective.
opinion about this fact that there might be increase in number of divorce rates due to new population policy, because the government employees would want to divorce the women so that they can avail the benefits of the policy? Do you think it's an unfounded fear?
Ma'am, in my personal opinion, it is an unfounded fear because it will applicable for employees from next year, not for present employees. And if we look at present TFR rate of Uttar Pradesh and awareness, then we are already moving towards a stabilization ratio. So that is unfounded, and we have various checks and balances in terms of legal measures, as well as in Uttar Pradesh we have women helpline, Sakhi centers. So that can be
So
used
talking
for
about
that.
these women helplines, we see that since the current regime has taken over, safety of women has been their prime agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your opinion? Have they been able to achieve what they intended to achieve?
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, it is evident from recently released data by NCRB that there is a decline of 43% in crime against women in 2020, along with the overall decline in crime rate. And it is evident, ma'am, from the wide initiatives taken for different in different areas for women's safety and empowerment. For example, ma'am, there are Mahila police stations in all districts of Uttar Pradesh. We have women helpline. Apart from that, schemes like Kanya Sumangala Yojana are also promoting education and health of girl child. So all these cumulatively.
But we also see that there is a breakdown of governance in Uttar Pradesh. A lot of retired bureaucrats have written about it. It is out in the open now. Do you think the governance in Uttar Pradesh has broken down?
Ma'am, I beg to differ. And it is evident even if we look at ease of doing business index that Uttar Pradesh has improved its ranking from 16 to 2nd. And even on SDG index, or if you look at different infrastructure projects, service delivery.
Then why are these people pointing out the breakdown of governance?
Ma'am, it may be their personal opinion, but as far with my limited experience and things I have observed, things are improving and service delivery is performing well at ground.
Aditya, my last question to you would be, I want to put you in a situation where you have two employees in front of you. One is a male candidate and another one is a female candidate with a child. Both are competent enough. Who will you assign the work to? Because you see, generally women with children have more responsibilities and they are not able to do justice to their job. So I want to know, who will you pick?
Ma'am, on the basis of their skills and demand of the job, I will give that work.
You have to choose one. I told you they are both competent enough for the job.
Ma'am, it also depends on the type of job. And ma'am, for example, if it requires some task at late night or going to work, then I will consult both of them. And on the basis,
I think you're evading my question. You have to pick one.
Ma'am, it depends on their skills and nature of the job, and it can be answered only with the demand of the job and all indicators I have in front of me.
Okay, thank you, Aditya.
Thank you.
Okay, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Aditya, who is at the helm of the affairs in Afghanistan at this moment?
Sir, currently Taliban has took control of Afghanistan.
So who is the president of Afghanistan right now?
Sir,
Or
as,
who is heading that Taliban government? If there exists one.
Sir, President is only Mr. Hamid Karzai, who currently fled from Afghanistan, as they have
Mr.
not
Hamid
resigned.
Karzai?
Yes, sir.
Sure about it?
Yes, sir.
Hamid Karzai was the president till Taliban took over, or somebody else was there?
Sir, Mr. Hamid Karzai.
Okay. and now he is not there.
Yes, sir.
Then who's there?
So currently there is a very turmoil situation in Afghanistan as
What is the status of Indian embassy in Afghanistan?
Sir, we have called back most of our diplomats, but still our embassy in Kabul is still operating, and we are looking for their safety and for their safe back to the country by monitoring situation at the ground.
Do you agree that yes, the world leaders and the world in general mishandled Afghanistan, but at the same time, India is also at fault with how we handled Afghanistan?
Sir, in my opinion, there is a mistake by international community and especially countries like United States of America by pulling out their forces without ensuring that Taliban has fulfilled all conditions mentioned in the peace agreement. And when it comes to India, then sir, we have tried our best, both in terms of investing in development and aiding government of Afghanistan by providing training to their officers, giving them arms and equipments. So it is mainly, sir, United States of America and also to some extent international institutions like United Nations Security Council, because at this time when there is mass killing of people.
But when there was a huge investment of India there, then whose responsibility was to safeguard that investment? US?
Sir, it is the responsibility of government of Afghanistan.
So India has no responsibility about safeguarding its own interests and including a huge investment in Afghanistan. Don't you think that India should have been proactive? If nothing else, then India should have been in consultation with Taliban, knowing well that they are actually coming and coming very fast.
Sir, it is true that we need to be responsible for our interest, and we were responsible responsible at this time. And so we have in talk and discussions with various other countries for ensuring peace and stability in Taliban. And we even participated in Moscow dialogue as well as in Doha agreement. And currently even we were invited by Troika Plus. And so recently our representative United Nations Security Council also called a meeting to look into the situations going on in Afghanistan. And even in present situation, we are calling every stakeholders to come for discussions and come for a political settlement by ensuring peace and stability in Afghanistan.
You've also mentioned that you like meditation.
Yes, sir.
I understand that meditation as a product in the market, in the society in general, is the cause of rise of many babas, or babadom and babas are mushrooming like anything because they have a product called meditation in X form or Y form or Z form to sell. Do you believe that it is one of the reasons why the scientific temper is taking a beating in our society? We are looking more inward rather than looking up towards rationality.
Sir, I personally feel that meditation is a way to promote scientific temper, because when we look inward, we know ourselves better, and then our clarity of minds and clarity of thoughts make us more acceptable to scientific laws and phenomena. And even this cited by Swami Vivekananda and our great sages like Sri Paramahansa Yogananda. Mahatma Gandhi also used to say that science and religion and rationality, they are part of the same thing. When it comes to, sir, people exploiting meditation practices for their personal gains or for doing this, then sir, it's a personal lack of values or integrity that make them to do so. However, at large level, meditation as a practice is for the welfare of the humanity. It makes us a better person.
Okay, fine, Aditya, it was nice talking to you. Your interview is over. You can go now.
Thank you, sir. What happened?
Take a seat, Aditya.
Thank you, sir.
आदित्य, यूपी में कितना नंबर था इंटरव्यू में?
Sir, 74.
74. और you appeared in the UPSC also interview?
Yes, sir, twice.
कितना?
Sir, last time 157.
157. और उससे पहले?
135, sir.
135.
Yes, sir.
Why do you believe that UPSC marks were not as per your expectation? Obviously, expectation going to be higher, obviously.
Sir, in 2018 when I got 135, I was very nervous. So I was not able to conversate properly with the board members. And last time interview started on a very good line. It went for 40 minutes. But in last 5-10 minutes, I started judging my answers. So that resulted into loss of my mental alertness.
But still, if it lasted 40 minutes, it means the board was interested.
Yes, sir.
So something must have gone really wrong. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
why would interact with that long? No, usually hota nahi hai. Anyways, what's your take on your today's performance? Do you believe that you did fine, or there are areas you can do a bit better?
So there are areas on which I need to, I can improve in terms of preciseness of my answer and answering to the point. And also, as sir, I am currently working, so I need to these revise things I have prepared for my DAF and current affairs.
Right.
So-
See, ultimately, DAF is your syllabus.
Yes,
You
sir.
have to look very carefully about your DAF. See, Aditya, you are a sitting officer, and by and large, board will be happy getting a person who is into service, knows nitty-gritties of the service, and is tested more than once earlier also. So they'll be open.
Yes, sir.
They'll be happy interacting you. Coming to specifics of your interview, you're doing most things right. But there are areas where you can probably improve a bit. Your personality is good. Your sitting posture in general is good. Usual mannerism is there in general. And communication by and large is good. We are not able to judge for obvious reason the facial expression, but other things, for example, the verbal communication in general is good. There are a few suggestions here, not necessarily criticism, but a few suggestions. One obviously is that you must have realized that there's you have this problem of very, very long answers at a few places, right? See, it's a dynamic process. You are having a conversation, and your eyes and otherwise you are watching board members, and you are in position to judge that where is the thirst or how much is the thirst of the board member, and then you can accordingly alter the size of the duration you want to speak, right? If you believe that the board member is now hoping that you'll stop, then you should actually stop. You should find out, rather than board member actually interrupting you, you should be in position to gaze and say, okay, this much is enough, right? That is one. It is not just about the length of the answers. I believe that you have certain notions about the whole process, and you are a bit rigid to those notions, which is good in terms of preparation. But since you have already appeared, you understand the actual interview is a dynamic process.
Yes, sir.
It changes, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have to alter your principles many a time, which you thought about the interview. For example, you might have thought that I'll be looking like this, I'll be speaking like this. When you get into the board, you realize that probably that won't work. You'll have to alter a bit. I believe that flexibility sometime is missing, right? For example, as I said, the length of the answers. Similarly, there is a little rigidity that even when the board members is prompting you to understand a particular thing or to say a particular thing, you have this rigidity of not doing. For example, you were prompted at least twice or thrice that probably you're wrong about the Afghan president. So what should ideally be your situation, even if you for some reason you very honestly believe that you're right? What should actually be emerging out of this situation? Okay, sir, I'll go and check it. You're getting it now. You're not even saying that you're wrong. You're merely accommodating the board member, right? This accommodating the board member is missing at a few places. Not just with me. That was the case when ma'am was discussing the situation thing, right? So I'll advise you to be open, be flexible at certain areas. Similarly, when critical appreciation of a government is required, then again, I'm not saying that you have to go outrightly bash the government. No. But then still you need to understand what exactly the board member is expecting. And then maybe a slight correction. If not correction, then at least accommodation of the view. So yes, there exists this opinion, but then you can have, even if you have a differing opinion, you can give the opinion. So right now, this rigidity part is the only thing which I believe that you need to focus on.
Okay,
Other things, knowledge-wise, it was good, both in geography, economy, and other areas. Your understanding in most things is good. So is about your hobbies and other sections of DAF. So by and large, you're doing most things right.
Thank you, sir.
Other things, I'm happy. So I think you'll do very well. All the
Thank
best.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.